welcome to another edition of Pittsburgh Sportsline. Thank you for watching us on Verizon 32, all the way from Nemacolin to Wexford and Cranberry. We appreciate it throughout the city and, of course, in Bethel Park. Then only in Bethel Park on Comcast 7. We got a lot of viewers on Comcast here in Bethel Park. Thank you for watching it. Thank you for telling me. So we appreciate it. Then we hit a brand new high on Facebook with our likes. 4,740. I want to thank everybody, including Jim Auger. He's always asking where we're at there, so that's quite a thing in a little 2.5 years. We appreciate it. I'm Al Levine, the Talking Machine. We got Chip, the Prophet Hayner, Smoking Jim Frazier, and Zach Brenner sitting in a cleanup seat since it's baseball season. We start our show off with What's on Your Mind. Normally I start with Zach Brenner, but I'm going to skip that. Oh, no, he does a psych every week. Go ahead, Zach Brenner. Oh, he's not done writing. I'll do it because now, folks, I just wanted to notify the world. Can you get a close-up of this? John the Tiger, I usually promote stuff.
I am proud.
Do you see what that is?
Is that the S6?
No, this is a Turbo Droid, 48-hour battery. Because you know how I do a lot of talking, so you can imagine a lot of Facebook. And now I got Devin Shea, Matt Harkins. They were right on time with the intro. John the Tiger Kiger is on his best game. He will not be playing games because I have a video going of him right now. So this smartphone is great. I'll just leave it here propped up so we can see you, John. Keep an eye on you. Thanks for everybody watching. Zach Brenner should be ready now. He had an extra 30 seconds to write down those secret 18 facts that he's going to bring up because they're all facts. Zach Brenner, what's on your mind?
Well, Al Levine, the Talking Machine, I just wanted to start off the show. It bothered me since last Tuesday night, folks. First, I just wanted to dispel the notion that I truly hate your battling buccos. It's not that I truly hate the Pittsburgh Pirates, and I don't really want for Chip Hayner or Al Levine to take away that whenever they sit in the ballpark, if they may get closer to their loved one because it was something that they did together and they truly enjoyed and they remember them so much. So I just wanted to dispel that notion, folks, that I hate the buccos. But I'm not a huge fan of the game of baseball. And what really soured me, like I said, was the 20-plus years that the organization was one of the most laughing ones in all Major League Baseball, Smoking Jim. So now that they're cleaning their way out of the basement and they're kind of starting to get back to the top, I don't want anybody to think that I truly hate the Pittsburgh Pirates. It's more of a front office, ownership type of deal where that's who I really hate. And I'm not the hugest fan of baseball, Smoking Jim. I don't know if you played any baseball growing up, but you needed a lot of people to play a game of baseball. We had a lot of ghost men in the neighborhood, and that's, that's just the way it goes. So now that we've cleaned up that, I didn't mean to offend anybody on that note. The last thing that I wanted to bring up was James Harrison's philosophy that finishing anything but champion or first, you're a loser. Well, I kind of agree with that, Mr. Harrison, but the only problem I do have with that is that not every child that comes up short is going to be a loser. Some of these kids are going to grow up to be doctors, lawyers, police, firemen, and other things. So I kind of don't want to discourage the youth. Your career might not be in athletics. You might not be a football, baseball, soccer, or hockey, or a boxing star. But you have other gifts that the Lord might have gave you, and I just don't think Mr. Harrison is kind of getting his message across the total full way by saying that, if you're not first, you're basically last. And although winning is everything, it's not everything. And there's other things in life, like I said, that some of these kids are going to go on to be great at, so I don't want to discourage any of them by them not winning every time that they're losers. And that's what's on my mind tonight, folks.
Very insightful, Zach Brenner. I accept your apology on that being a hater. Let's go Bucks and Smoking Jim Frazier. What's on your mind?
Thanks, Al Levine, the Talking Machine. And if you want the green,
I got a fancy green one. Don't
you
break that.
got to see Levine. That is nice, brother. My old quarterback option days. But hey, what's on my mind is everybody knows that I'm an NFL scout, and I took a lot of heat a few years back when I predicted that not only that the Heisman Trophy winner RG3 would be an NFL bust, but he was a extremely accurate quarterback at Baylor. I think he set an NCAA record with he had more touchdown passes for a long time than he had interceptions, and which is a tremendous record. But I compared him to Cordell Stewart. I said as soon as he start hearing the boos, he'll fold like a card table, and he sure did. He came out this week after having back-to-back horrendous seasons, and he said not only is he the best quarterback on this team, you don't have to look over his shoulder, but he's the best quarterback in the league. And that leads me to another brother that I predicted would be an NFL bust, Geno Smith. I said Geno Smith came out of college and said he would guarantee that the Jets would be a playoff team, and I said back then the only thing he had in common with Joe Namath is they both wear pantyhose. And I guess Geno
I remember
Smith,
that, Smoking Jim. I'll verify that.
And I guess Geno Smith will never point in the linebacker's face, being that his jaw is wired shut right now. And I tell you what, anybody that's been in a locker room, and all four of us has been in many, many locker rooms, when you get in a fight as a quarterback in the locker room, it's because your teammates want to see it. I mean, there's nobody that came to his aid. There's nobody that tried to break it up. And here's a little tip of RG3. This linebacker, this brother who I can't pronounce his name, Hashiri Bonix, was he? But this guy, this is how tough this kid is. Not only is he 260 pounds, but he played at a small school called Louisiana Tech. The reason that he didn't go to LSU or one of the bigger schools is because even deep down in South, he knocked out a police officer. When you're in Louisiana and police officers cross the street when they see you, you're a pretty tough guy. And that's why Rex Ryan picked him up for Buffalo along with Richie Incognito. So that's what's on my mind.
Very informative, Smoking Jim. Thank you. Chip Hayner, what's on your mind?
Oh, thank you, Alan, and good evening, everybody. And you know what, Jim? Geno Smith was right. The New York Jets will be a playoff team as soon as they release him. but the first thing that's on my mind tonight is, I want to give a happy birthday wish to one of the greatest Pirates that I've ever seen play, and I preface that by saying I have ever seen play. Roberto Clemente. Today would have been his 81st birthday, and wanted to give an acknowledgement to that.
Say it ain't so.
Yeah, it's so. That was the last professional athlete that I had ever idolized in my life, and it was tragic when he died. I was a 12-year-old boy. Worshipped the ground that he worked on. It was heartbreaking, but taught me some life lessons. But what's on my mind, and I'm going to kind of touch on some of what Zach said, and I'm not going to be criticizing Zach. Go figure. But, it's in relationship to James Harrison. Now James Harrison decided to give back trophies that his children got for just participating in an athletic endeavor.
It was Charlie Baxter's basketball team.
Now, this is what I have a problem with here. Now, how James Harrison chooses to raise his children, that's his business, and I'm not going to say whether, he should or shouldn't have done anything. That's his thing to do, and as long as he's not breaking any laws, he can do whatever he chooses. And I respect that. But my thought about this whole thing of just giving every child that participates in an event a trophy, I don't agree with it. I don't like it. I think trophies are something that are to be earned, and I think there's a lot of lessons to be learned in learning how to play sports and participate in sports, and knowing that, the ultimate goal of any sporting event is to win. Not at the cost of everything else, but, that's what you strive to do, and you can learn as much from winning or you can learn as much from losing as you can from winning. And I think it was I learned a lot of lessons growing up, and I strove to be better when I would watch other teams get their trophies at the banquet at the end of the year. That would make me go out and practice harder. That would make me motivate my teammates. So, I think that the principle of what he was doing is, scoffing at giving everybody a trophy just for showing up. Showing up isn't always, good enough. Sometimes you've got to actually apply yourself, and I think that should be rewarded, and not just the fact that you show up. But that's what's on my mind.
You did find a way to disagree with Lil Z.
I didn't criticize it. See? I did not criticize it.
We got so many firsts on Pittsburgh Sports Line. It's amazing. I don't see them hugging that yet. But when I see that, I'll feel much better. But nah, really I won't, because they're participating. They get no awards here. You got to do better, for crying out loud. Some of these people, they're learning less than what they did before. We got to step up our game. No trophies. You still get that pizza, but I got to thank Olive Oil's Pizzeria. I mean, that was one of their best pizzas that we've had. So I appreciate it. And they have the $1.99 special. Call 412-831-1900 right now and just order 10 of them or so. Tell them you want them in 20 minutes, because they can do it. They're packed tonight. They had a great night last night, so keep on going there. It's a nice local place right at Hillcrest. They're doing a great job, so check it out. We enjoy it. Our volunteers here like it. John, I need you to they need some help with this tournament. We need some more
teams.
3-on-3 basketball teams. Okay, you can see that. It's for a great cause. September 12th, South Park. I mean, check this out. I posted on Facebook. They're posted on my page. Help these people out. All you sponsors out there and other people that might be interested, it's all for a good cause. Plus, it gets the kids out there to compete a little bit. And if they win, we'll see what happens. All right, that's not what's on my mind. What's on my mind is the Buccos have lost 3 games in a row. They're in their division. They come out 7-2 being in their division, which is just awesome. They lost the game last night, so they're 7-3 in their last 10 games. If that's not a pennant race, this is near the end of August, I don't know what is. We can't help it St. Louis is at another level. That happened with the Yankees and other teams over the years. That's why they have a playoff system. That's why they have a wild card. These are part of the game. It's not the old, back in 1867, which some of my colleagues didn't realize baseball started officially with the pros back then, but that's how long it's been going on. So they're so late on getting to the show. I appreciate what they've learned, and I appreciate what Zach was saying today. I understand he's disgruntled. I've been disgruntled for the 20 years that they were in that streak. Matter of fact, after about 3 or 4, I started betting $1 every year that they wouldn't break 500. And I won every year till Chip come on board. And then now I don't even bet it anymore, because I want to still keep a profit. But seriously, you can't go wrong with that.
I still got that $1 under glass at home.
I know he does, and man, I had that for a long, long time. So, but that's another story. We're gonna have some Bucco talk. We got some Steeler talk. I don't even want to touch on the rebuilding they're doing, but we'll cover that. Stay tuned. We got more coming. Chief, go get your dessert, because we're gonna start doing Fiction and Fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac.
Thanks, Al Levine, the talking machine. And I tell you what, man, you can eat and sleep, but you can't beat his streak. Al Levine got about 400 shows in a row. Nobody will break that streak.
Hold it, a little breaking news. We're going to have our 200th show the second week of September. So
wow.
That'll be our live TV show. I'm the only man still standing. I don't want to jinx myself, and I saw an assassin out here. I don't know who he was. Some ninja.
Was he?
No, that's why I didn't feel comfortable. The Amish hat was in the back, but he looked like a ninja. Smoking Jim, go with your fiction and fact.
Straw hat and suspenders.
No, it's a black-hatted Amish assassin.
I tell you what, a couple years ago, I paid over $300 for my nephew to play Midget League football for the Pitcairn team, and had to buy everything that he sold throughout the year. So I got to agree with Lil Z that participation trophies is a must after paying all that money. But anywho,
Hold on a second.
hey, listen, I want to.
Trophies aren't earned, they're bought.
Yeah, hold it. We have to have a disclaimer here. I rarely put them out on Smoking Jim, and especially Zach, since I didn't look through all the flowery speech that he had because it was pretty good. It almost fooled me, but some of it's good. Then I was just investigating because now I have a smartphone. And I heard him talk about Charlie Batch, but there was no other mention of Charlie Batch being involved in anything with trophies and giving out
It's
awards.
on the trophy.
Yeah.
It's on the trophy.
No, but here's what I'm telling you. The media is not saying it. They got silent on it, and so I figured I'd stay silent on it because I'm in the camp that if you show up, you're supposed to because you want to play. After that, if you learn the sport, some kids start out at different levels. I'm happier with kids that have never played and they start baseball, football, or whatever, and you see an improvement in what they do. Thank you to all the coaches that help those kids and the ones who are superstars already because they have the work ethic. You're teaching about team, and sorry to go off on a tangent, but it bothers me when Smoking Jim has to spend $300 because he doesn't tell the truth. It was $1,000, and he doesn't even have that trophy because his special room with all the sweeties, he got 3 rooms full. He cannot put a trophy. But I don't want to go too far off the tangent on here, but I understand why you do it, and when you're in the YMCA, I agree, everybody should get a trophy there because that's a good community thing. But when you're in competition with other teams and you're keeping score, I don't understand the logic behind everybody gets a trophy. We'll debate this after Smoking Jim, but he started. Go ahead.
Real quick, because we got a good friend, Claudio Verzano, who's a baseball coach for CMU. So my point is, those kids, they're not going on anywhere to play baseball, really, Smoking Jim. Are they all losers? Is that a team full of losers?
No.
Even though they don't really ever
not
won
going by
anything?
the quota.
If they never won anything? Because I think they're winners because they came out to the show. They're all going to go on to be great things in life in the future. They got educated. So, in my opinion, they're winners.
Why do they play the game?
Here's the credibility issue.
Maybe to stay in shape.
You have a credibility issue. It's called James Harrison. What he's doing with his kids is honorable because he's teaching them you have to succeed and strive. What is wrong with him is he couldn't fly to see the president because he lied. Okay, he's gone to other events and everything, but he didn't go to see the president because he might have been intimidated by that, and he might have been investigated for some of his outrageous statements. So you got to call it how it is. If you want to make up stuff, that's fine. And not everybody's a loser. There are winners and losers. If you make it that simple, you're never going to get along with the other kids. You won't be able to play. And when you're an adult, you won't be able to do anything with anybody else. So we know that, and that's why he's like he is. And when they say he's a true leader, yeah, he shows by example, but look what he says. And then look what he does. Where's he leading anybody else to get better? I don't see the guys around him getting better. Tell me one guy that he helped to get better.
I agree.
That's a good point. But at least in fairness to James Harrison,
He's a scary individual and nobody wants to mess with him in the media.
well, at least in fairness to James Harrison, he didn't put a gun in his son's mouth for not winning. But anyway,
Jesus.
but
Okay, back to fiction and fact.
hey,
I can't even
the
breathe.
reason the media didn't mention Charlie Batch is they're probably still mad at Charlie Batch for backstabbing Edmund Nelson to get the TV job. But anywho, what's on my
Are
mind?
there three?
What's on your mind? We already did what's on your mind.
My fiction and fact for Smoking Jim's Almanac.
What is it?
Goes back to this past weekend. I was honored to be a guest again on KDKA, and believe me, KDKA only invites me for one time a year for 1 hour. They are not going to endorse me. They're scared to death to have me on air. They will not promote me. They will not post. Contrary to popular beliefs, that was a 4 or 5 year old post that somebody put out.
I was listening to it and I said, wait a second. Just a minute.
A lot of things came true on that post, though, 4 or 5 years ago. So I'm glad you listen to that.
Spoken
Bill
Jim,
Z,
I have to butt in again. This is
sure.
the longest fiction in fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac that we've ever had, because until you tunnel down, what is the point of this fiction in fact, Smoking Jim's Almanac? Drink that coffee fast. Come on, please.
The point is, it was a great honor not only to be on, but to have my good friend Al Levine, the talking machine, call in to debunk some of the things that I was saying. And not only that Al was able to call in, but one thing about KDKA, they do not allow commercials. So this was a first. Al Levine not only got into things that we were doing at the Meadows, he was also let them know that on September 4th we'll be at the Priory to do some boxing, and that we have Sid Bream on the show on Monday, and you could just see
that was a great plug.
You
That
could
was a
see,
great plug for
the engineer was like ready to pull the plug on Al Levine, the Tiger Machine, but he was smooth. He got it all in, and I want to thank Chris Moore for having the guts and the intestinal fortitude to invite me every year, because believe me, having me on puts his job in jeopardy. And that's the fiction and fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac.
Al Levine, we didn't hear any mention of that call.
Smoking Jim Frazier. Thank you for fiction and fact. We could have an open discussion later or off air, because we normally, folks, if you're new to watching our show, because obviously we're getting new people to watch our show, this is not normal, okay? Because normally we segment our parts and then we go crazy on each other because we disagree. But this somehow went so far off the reservation. Thank you, Smoking Jim. I appreciate that. I didn't know where you were going, but I was trying to stop you before you said that. So thank you. All right. Now that I got that out. Chip the Prophet Hainer, we got Chip's trivia time. Are you ready?
About as ready as I'm ever going to be.
Okay.
All right, just to briefly run down some baseball trivia. And I've got some interesting tidbits for the end. First, go back to August the 12th. And in 1964, Mickey Mantle set a then Major League record of his 10th game where he homered from both sides of the plate.
Wow.
I believe that maybe Eddie Murray may have broken his record since
I thought
then.
he did.
And
heard it.
at the time that was a pretty amazing feat. Nobody else had ever done anything like that. Also on August the 12th, 1994, was the last play stoppage for Major League Baseball. The players went on strike, and the players were calling the owners' bluff that the owners would cancel the World Series if the players went on strike. So the players said, okay, we'll go on strike. Well, the owners did cancel the World Series that year. That was the first year that it was canceled. The World Series wasn't played for anything other than the Second World War. But, the thing that's significant about the strike of 1994, that is what really kind of rung in the steroid era in baseballs, because after the fans were upset with Major League Baseball, they were upset with the owners, they were upset with the players, they felt everybody was being greedy. So people didn't come out to baseball games after the baseball resumed the next spring, and subsequently that led to steroid usage, inflated statistics, which ultimately got people back into the game, and the rest is history. August the 17th, 1933, Lou Gehrig of the New York Yankees plays in his 1,308th game, which at the time broke Everett Scott's record of 1,307 in consecutive games played. And what was the name of the first baseman that Lou Gehrig replaced? Wally Pipp. Keep that in your little thinking cap there. He'll come into play a little bit later in my trivia here.
Whoa.
A little shout out to our girls from the Steel Hurton roller derby.
Oh, yeah?
On August the 13th, 1935, the first roller derby begins in Chicago by promoter Leo Seitzer. So there you go. 1935 was when the roller derby got started. One last bit of trivia. In 2006, Jared Weaver, starting pitcher for the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. joined Whitey Ford as the only rookies in American League history to win their first 9 decisions. Weaver is the 5th pitcher in Major League Baseball history to begin his career 9-0 as a starting pitcher. But 2 parts left here for my trivia, and the first one involves one of the greatest players that most of you never heard of, and a lot of people haven't seen. I'm sure Al remembers who this person is. I remember it very vividly. A baseball player named Tony Conigliaro. Tony Conigliaro, on August the 18th, 1967, was beamed. He was hit on his left cheekbone with a fastball in the 4th inning of a 3-2 loss to Boston. Conigliaro was carried unconscious from the field, missed the rest of the 1967 season, the entire 1968 season. And the real, he did come back and play, but he was never the same player that he was. And here's what the really sad part of it was. Tony Conigliaro, when he got hit, was 22 years old. At the age of 22, he had already hit 100 home runs in his Major League Baseball career. And it's interesting to think of what would have happened if,
that didn't happen. Yeah.
If that didn't happen, because he never was the same player. He suffered brain damage, and even though he did come back to play, he didn't play long. So that leads me to my last bit of trivia. And I did some research, as I'm wont to do when I've got, my mind will wander. There's been one time in Major League Baseball history where a player was killed by being beamed in a game.
Wow.
The ball player's name was Ray Chapman. And Ray Chapman was beamed on August the 16th, 1920. The pitcher that was on the mound that day was Carl Mays. Ray Chapman played for the Cleveland Indians. Carl Mays was the starting pitcher for the Yankees that day. And he hit him just above his left ear, behind his left eye, with a fastball. And they said it made such a sickening sound that, they didn't know. A lot of people thought the ball had hit the end of the bat, and the ball went forward. And the catcher picked up the ball and threw it to the first baseman, who happened to be Wally Pipp. But they tried. He was on the ground. They got him to his feet. He staggered off. They got him into an ambulance. They got him to the hospital, and Ray Chapman died at 4:40 a.m. on August the 17th, 1920. But he was the only Major League Baseball player killed in the course of a game. But that's my trivia for this week.
Did you see the pitcher that got hit yesterday?
Yes, I did.
And see, that's why I don't like baseball.
All right, we're going to thank you on that.
Did you see what happened to Joe Theismann when Lawrence Taylor tackled him? I mean, Jim, things happen, brother.
Yeah. These are sad moments, but I don't know where my boys are at, but disclaimer.
Yeah.
It'll get contagious, I'm sure. Zach Brenner, how about some Z time?
Well, I want to start out Z-Time with a little Ebonics that Smoking Jim requested from Homestead, Pennsylvania. The linebacker in question who knocked out West Virginia college quarterback Geno Smith is none other than I.K. Enum K. Polly. So, say that 3 times fast, Levine, I'm sure.
From what tribe?
I.K. Neenum Pomali.
Enum K. Polly.
All right, I can't do it.
Enum K. Polly. But, Smoking Jim, that guy's rough, that guy's brutal, that guy's tough. We know why Rex Ryan brought him in because, let's just face it. I mean, he's Rex Ryan. He was all about sticking it to the Jets and bringing in the guy that knocked out Geno Smith.
And Rex drafted him. He drafted him to the Jets the year he got fired.
Well, folks, that was just to refresh you up on Smoking Jim's insights into a great linebacker prospect. What I didn't hear a lot of, hopefully we get that in the Steeler segment, is some insight on some of these current Steeler draft picks that Smoking Jim is not so thrilled with. I mean, I personally know that Smoking Jim Frazier wasn't big on RG3, RG me, as he called him. They should have trademarked it at the time, Levine, if we're calling in the KDKA and giving a 10-minute infomercial for Pittsburgh Sports Line. Should have put that in there.
2 years in a row, but that's too soon.
2 years in a row. Hey, man.
They want me back. They said thanks for calling. We'll have to check out your show.
Hopefully they check it out. Hopefully they're watching right now. But the last thing on Z-Time is I'm very excited. I know Smoking Jim's excited too. We got some great cage fights coming up. Right now, cage fighting is kind of leapfrogged boxing in the city of Pittsburgh. Right now, Smoking Jim, for whatever reason, the Tribal Society, as Al Levine likes to call it, where all the tribes are divided and we can't really get the talent and nurture the talent and have a quality event. So I'm excited that we're going to be in Cheswick, PA for Gladiators of the Cage this coming Saturday. It's going to be a great show. I look forward to it. And then subsequently following, we got Pinnacle 11 coming up with the Honey Badger at South Point the next weekend. So we got a full packed lineup of MMA. Sometimes they try to pin me down. I don't know about you and Al Levine, but they try to, do you like Pinnacle? Do you like Gladiators of the Cage? Well,
Yes.
I like them both.
Yes.
I like anybody trying to do it, and whoever wins, wins. And the other person isn't so much a loser, but they did participate. But that's I'm all about winning, Smoking Jim. But even as Chip alluded to, when he lost, you would try to work harder. But subsequently, when you're a goalie in hockey, Smoking Jim, you can't score. There has been a couple goalies, Martin Brodeur, a couple guys that have scored, Ron Hextall, in the game. It's a rarity. But when you're the goalie in soccer or hockey, you can't score. So when you're doing everything you can to keep your team in the game and you're losing 1-0, are you a loser? Or is the rest of the team in front of you losers? What more can you do? You can't score the goals. You're trying to keep them out. So like I said, I'm all about winning, and I just think that there's times where, it's not every person's a loser, but you win as a team, you lose as a team. So I guess that's the thing that needs to be preached.
That's the lesson to be learned, is the value of teamwork.
And it'll keep you humble if you're the superstar in the team and you can't win because your team's losing all around you. So you're part of that team. It helps build character, I say, because you learn to have some class. You thank maybe some of those other players for trying, and you did your best. You already know it, but maybe you're boosting some of those other players up that wouldn't have had that.
But I also would like to allude to, though, shout out, like Levine said, to all the legends, because when you come across a good coach and he's good at teaching young men and developing them, I mean, look what you get, especially at like Woody High, Look at the job that's going on at Woody High, Smoking Jim.
He doesn't mention community.
He should have mentioned Terry Smith over every day.
Where is Terry Smith? He's Penn State.
Yeah.
We are Penn State.
Yeah, and they're on the upgrade there too, so hats off, Smoking
Yeah, but
Jim.
they've been banned from recruiting in Monroeville.
They just
when your
moved in
favorite
on
high
it.
school kid comes by in a Mercedes, whether it's a 92 or 94, they're probably getting recruited by Gateway.
That's right.
For some more.
That's right.
Well, I guess that's it for Z Time.
Yeah,
Thanks, Zach.
that's it. Thank you.
Very insightful this evening. Appreciate that again. On location, our big show coming up for Duke's Rib House and Grill. Sad to say, we had a great run there since October of last year, but it is our last show there. They want to do some other things there. We had some great success. Can't thank them enough for having us there every 2 weeks. Every other week we were there. We had hundreds of guests. We have people that are traveling from as far away as West Virginia, Ohio, just to come see us and our show and our guests. And that's each time we're at Duke. So thanks to you guys. We're in the works with some other locations. I'll have those coming up for September. So this will be a great last show there. We plan on going out with a bang. So make sure you're out there. Sid Bream's going to be there. Jack Mook and all his boxers. I mean, we got a boxing match called North Side, and this is great, versus the Outside. They're taking on not just the South Side, who they beat in a boxing match, which we were honored to be there. They're going to do it now versus anybody, the Outside. So it'll be quite an event. If you have not been to the Priory Hotel, their Presidential Grand Hall is unbelievable. This is one of the greatest venues in Pittsburgh with history and just how great it is. And we're going to be filming and doing boxing there. Tickets, general admission, are only $20. There's beer and food, that's there. They have just a great cast there and service. So it'll be a fun night also. Great amateur fighters. They're going to give me the list. As soon as I get it, we'll have it. I know a couple of them. He's cracking a cold one. You can have that at the Priory Hotel. Chip, they're drinking up too. I don't know what they have. That's a pause there. They know I'm on a roll. So make sure you show up there. Gates open at 6:30, 7 o'clock the fights. They're looking about 12 fights, so it'll be fantastic there. And, we can't wait to do that fight there. So check that out. Then we had Smoking Jim and I were at the Meadows again. We did another show. And just meeting some great people, owners, trainers. We're finding out some of the inside scoop on horse ownership, how easy it is to get into, and what you have to do.
I want a claimer.
He ain't got to clean the stalls, right?
Nope.
He wore the same shoes that he's wearing now when we walked in the paddock area. So you tell me, I was in a stall or two, and I had to change my shoes, but that's another story.
That's what they got them rubber galoshes for.
Special thanks to Dave Cable for coming out today and helping film this as we travel to the paddock. Another thanks to Heather Wilder's the best PR person for the MSOA, the ownership at the Meadows. Thanks to the Meadows Racetrack and Casino for letting us go around there. It was just a great day. We had a little weather problem, and I told Dave Cable, I said, don't worry about the rain. As I was driving, he drove me out to the track. He picked me up. I was on the way, and it was pouring. He goes, hey, talking machine, I don't think this is going to work. I said, the sun's coming out. Don't you worry. It poured the whole way there. Started to drizzle. Smoking Jim was running late.
That's a first.
And guess what? Some blue skies started to appear. The clouds, as Dave was ready to leave, we got...
Me and Chip are getting rained on the jaw.
We got...
He's too good.
I can't even finish this story. It's too good. It ended up the sun come out. The sun come out for about a half-hour show. Stay tuned to that. Yes, there was sun. And thank you to God and everybody else involved in this. Usually I don't bring that on our TV show, but I just had to. Sometimes there's special things that happen. Keep following us. Look for some good karma. And that's on location.
Great job, Machine. Great job.
All right, I'm a Steeler fan, and I have to go to the Steelers segment right now. I watched 2 minutes of football, the practice game that the Steelers had.
To the bucket segment.
So I wasn't disappointed in the Steelers, and I heard some people say that there looks like a lot of promising rookies and some players were stepping up. But it's practice, and they've been rebuilding so long that the schedule is against them. So you got to show me how they can actually hold teams to less points than what we score. And oh man, somebody got to teach me with these smartphones. Updates are popping like crazy. I've had this 24 hours. But go Steelers! I'm still for them. I got to see more action there.
No, here's what we saw Friday night in the Steeler game. Because I watched a good 15, maybe 20 minutes of it, but
you get that much in.
The offense came out, 8 plays, a touchdown, and a 2-point conversion, and they took the night off. I mean, the offense looks awesome, but the biggest problem that we have is on the defensive side, and I looked and saw pretty much more of the same that we've been seeing.
No difference.
Guys blowing coverages, nobody pressuring the quarterback. Jarvis Jones running after the ball carrier.
What do you mean after?
Well, he's always in pursuit. Yeah, he's always in pursuit.
I'm missing this.
First he runs himself out of the play, then he runs himself back into the play and trips over the fallen body of the ball carrier.
So he caught him in a sense.
But the problem that we've got with the Steelers right now is we need people on the field practicing, and we need them playing in these preseason games. And you've got Shamarko Thomas, who hasn't played yet, and you've got Mitchell He hasn't played yet. And these are the two guys that we're counting on to be our starting safeties. I mean, what are they supposed to just like start on September 10th? We plug them in and they go into all pro mode. I don't think
Madden
it works
NFL.
that way.
Madden NFL. Hit the game. Bang.
You know, I think there's a lot of work to be done. I think the offense is clicking on all cylinders. Martavis Bryant, I think he's going to have a huge year this year. You know, Antonio Brown, arguably the best receiver in football.
No argument there.
But and then you know, and here's the thing that I find interesting is we talk about the Steelers have the hardest schedule in the NFL this year, and this is based on the strength of the teams from last year. Now, one thing that's happened in the environment in the National Football League is the team that you had last year certainly is not the team that you're going into this year with.
Good point.
Because there was a lot of free agent movement. People got cut for salary cap reasons and this and that. So there's been a lot of movement of players. I mean, you look at the fire sale that happened in San Francisco. Do they have anybody from the starting defense last year starting this year? Are they going to be as good a team? I'd be surprised if the 49ers go 8-8 this year.
Wow.
You know, I mean, and here's a team that contended for a Super Bowl for all the years that Harbaugh was there. But I don't care if Harbaugh was there or, you know, or Vince Lombardi. I don't think you're going to be able to take the crew that's there now and get them to perform at the level of their last few years' teams.
You got all that from 20 minutes of football this year, huh?
You know, I mean, it just comes to me, Jim. It just comes to me. You
But
know?
here's something from the scout.
I can't wait.
And this is the reason why I watched every minute of every game and then go back and watch the game. I tell you what, I've been around the game for a long time, as all four of us have, and I've never thought I'd see the second coming of Anthony Munoz. And this kid will not start this year probably, but once he gets in the lineup, he is going to be one of the best left tackles I've ever seen, number 78 from the U.S. Army or whatever. What's his name?
Villanueva.
That's him. This guy.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen him play yet, Lil Z, but watch the game. That number 78, who was jumping out of airplanes.
Who, Villanueva?
Yeah. He is.
He put
is
on some
good.
weight.
He is. He's over
We
300
met him
pounds.
at the basketball game.
Did you?
Yes.
He
And he's
is
such a nice
as
guy.
good a left tackle as I ever seen play in the NFL since Anthony Munoz.
So you're thinking that Mike Adams might be gone with his
Well,
big
Adams
back?
is already packed it. He's already
He's pumped
he
up.
packed it in. I don't think he's practiced all preseason.
No, he's got some
But
kind
our,
of back injury.
our other buddy could be losing his job to him, the short one.
I tell you what, smoking Jim Frazier. I love when guys show up to camp looking spry, and then within like the first couple minutes or hours, whatever, they're already hurt. They're already on the trainer's table. You know, so that to me is hilarious. But that's what training camp's all about. That's why I'm a firm believer. Let's keep the 4 preseason games. I don't understand why there's a 5th considered the Hall of Fame game that adds an extra preseason game to 2 teams. Schedule every year in the preseason. I don't really feel that that's necessary, but I feel like the 4 games are definitely needed to get to weed out guys that don't belong, to evaluate talent, to bring other guys in. You know, it's an ever revolving door in the National Football League, and that's how you win championships, by having depth and you know, evaluating talent.
You know, and every time that there is a season-ending injury to somebody who is marked as a marquee player, and then we all start talking about why are they playing these games, you know, and Roger Goodell wants to go to 18 games in a regular season. You know what? Here's the thing about football. You are never going to get injuries out of football. It's a violent game, and guys get injured. I mean, that's the risk you take when you go to play the game. So, you know, if you're going into training camp, better have your insurance premiums paid. I
tell you what, and not to go too far off the path, but I got to get this off of my chest. Jerome Bettis' speech at the Hall of Fame was one of the best I've ever seen.
Okay.
I had to critique a couple of things, although he didn't say it at the Hall of Fame. He never sold crack or shot at anybody, number one. And number two, Jerome Bettis, he wasn't a hard worker. Let's just face it. Jerome Bettis would come to training camp, look like he just swallowed a 8-pound Philly steak hoagie, and then he run 2 plays and then grab his sports inhaler. but he never needed that inhaler during the game. But Jerome Bettis, you was a great player. You deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. But don't tell nobody you were a hard worker. You and Casey Hampton, you guys used to play the game great, but you guys didn't practice very hard. And I had to get that off my chest.
Hey, Smoking Jim, can I talk about another guy that's in the Hall of Fame that wasn't a great practice player?
Franco?
Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
And then he received so much criticism for running out of bounds.
Yeah.
But he had a long career,
Yeah.
Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
It was
Jim-
one of the top 2 or
Jim
3 when
Brown,
he retired.
Jim Brown was threatening to come out of retirement so that
Yeah.
Franco wouldn't beat his
record.
his rushing record
Exactly.
because he didn't feel that Franco had the meanness or the toughness to
And who cares
the,
if
the
he
one
did?
the one player that he did dub as his heir apparent was
Walter
of course
Payton.
Walter Payton.
Yeah, Walter was
and Walter Payton, he was just. He played on some of the worst teams ever, and how everybody knew he was getting a ball, and he still ran with the same thing with Barry Sanders.
Oh yeah, watch some old plays of Barry Sanders. Barry Sanders would run 20, 25, 30 yards back just to gain a yard.
Yeah.
Barry Sanders juked Rod Woodson out of his MCL and
I was
ACL.
at the game.
Yeah, at Three River Stadium. I mean, Rod didn't touch him, and Barry just put a move on him, and Rod's knee went the wrong way, and that was it.
And 10 years from now, we could be talking about Le'Veon Bell as a Hall of Fame player. This is a guy who I thought Marshall Faulk was the standard as far as a guy that could be an all-pro wide receiver.
I don't
But
want
Le'Veon Bell is right there with
You don't want
Marshall
to
Faulk
get.
as far
We don't
as
want to get too
receiving
quick.
running back.
We don't want to be too quick to anoint or award somebody anything that they didn't earn yet. This young man has a lot of promise. He's got to live up to it on the field and off the field. Smoking Jim
Good
Frazier.
point,
He has an
good point.
obligation to his fans and the organization. So we'll see what Le'Veon Bell does after sitting out the first 2 games of the season, which everybody's not talking about. That right now we don't. Beside Williams, there's not a whole lot of depth at running back.
Josh Harris just got hurt, right? Yeah.
Correct.
That's the guy that showed a lot of promise in the offseason. So.
A
lot of brittle brothers.
The one thing that was as sharp as attack on Friday night is I've never seen Ben look better. I mean, he's throwing the ball tight spirals, right on the money. And I'll tell you what, for 2 games, I'd fall back on Ben's right arm.
Well, Brady will outshoot him in that first.
Yeah, well, that's
Since Big Ben got that new
the only
contract,
Brady that's going to be playing that.
What
night is
about
Mark-
Antonio
That-
Brown? Drew Rosenhaus. Antonio Brown has 2 years left on this extension that he signed.
3.
And already Drew Rosenhaus is already wanting to renegotiate because other guys got more money because of the
All
Hilton
I can
deal.
say
Your boy
is-
T.Y. Hilton.
put a mirror in front of you, and what would you be asking for when you see these guys that are your peers getting it? Look at Big Ben. He's feeling great, best shape. He's making almost $22 million a year with his contract. So when you're at the top of your game within $100,000,
Eli wants more than Ben. You think he's worth it?
Hey, if New York pays it, he is. That's what it's all about.
What do
If your
you
team
think?
pays,
Do you think
what do I
he's worth
think?
it?
No.
Yeah, but
No, I don't
what
think
we
so.
think doesn't
Yeah.
matter because we're not the ones writing the
Yeah.
checks.
When the Maras write the check, which they will.
I mean, to be honest with you, Zach, all those players are overpaid.
I mean,
If you want
Philip
my
Rivers
personal
just
opinion.
got
But
a
I
Big
don't
Ben.
write the checks for
Not
them.
Big
Right.
Ben.
So,
Big Ben.
so if somebody's
Everybody.
writing the checks.
Well, here it's part of entertainment. Come on, when you have billion-dollar contracts for TV stations, I mean, we're looking for $100 contract. They're looking for billions, but that's
I'm
another
looking
story.
For a ham sandwich.
Yeah. You want cheese on that or
I'm
not?
telling you what.
But no, that's part of it. And whether they're worth it or not, only your team can decide. And you go back to Jimmy Brown, 9 years, and he set all those records. He was a running back for 9 years and walked away in his prime. So he could say whatever he wants about anybody being tough or not tough, because I believe at his age, he could run out there and beat a couple of these guys. And he's old.
And I walk away from this show for Raquel Welch, yeah.
Today or back in 67?
But Jim Brown did it,
Wow.
brother. You can't blame
He didn't
him
do
for
it
that.
for her.
I'll tell
Yeah.
you what, folks. What a great segue to I know what Olivine and Chip Payne are chomping at the bit to talk
No,
about.
no,
these
I'm not
Buccos.
chomping.
These Buccos.
The Pirates just finished
He said, I'm not chopping.
No chomping.
a 9-game span of games against the 3 division leaders in the National League. These are teams that would have to play in the playoffs.
2
We
steps
swept
forward,
the
3
Dodgers, we
steps
swept
back.
the Mets, and again we lost 2 of 3 to the St. Louis Cardinals. Now, the thing that bodes well for the Pirates moving forward is the starting left fielder for the Cardinals 2 days ago went down to injury. He is out, and this kid has been playing lights out. He's a rookie. And last night, Jason Hayward left the game with a hamstring injury. So the sand's going to run out of the hourglass for the St. Louis Cardinals, and there's still 5.5 weeks, 6 weeks left in the season. And I'll tell you right now, the Pirates and the moves that the Pirate management has made. And oh yes, I do have to address this point. My friend Zach Brenner here says that he doesn't like the management of the Pittsburgh Pirates. Just consider this. This management team on
Not
the
this
Pittsburgh
present
Pirates,
management team. They're doing the 20 years of attrition.
well, they no longer exist.
That was
But
the point.
but the management of the Pirates
Not the
right now
current
are the ones
staff.
that resurrected the franchise.
Correct.
And we're one of the best 2 or 3 teams in the league. This team is good enough to win it all. They get contributions from so many different avenues.
A year away.
AJ Burnett is started into his rehab. He's been throwing off of level ground. Tonight they had him back up 1 step, so he's standing on the slope of the mound, and they're going to let him throw from there for a few days. Then they'll put him up on the pitching rubber. And
AARP ain't gonna let him pitch.
and
They have
also,
nothing to do with it.
also to bolster the starting pitching staff is Vance Worley has accepted his reassignment to Indianapolis, and they were in the process of stretching out his arm. So there's another arm for the starting pitching rotation that's doing it. Now, that being said, Garrett Cole, in his last 4
He's
games,
slumping.
he's lost 3 of them. Okay, and he hasn't pitched well
Be lucky to get to
since
16
the All-Star
wins.
break. So, they're working on some things with him. Somehow he seems to have lost a little bit of his fastball command. And losing command of his fastball and the location of it, the swing and miss pitches he has, the curveball, the slider, people aren't biting on
He
right
only
now.
got 2 pitches.
He's got 3
He
pitches.
don't have no curveball.
I bet you couldn't hit it.
baseball scout.
But you got to admit he rarely throws a curve. Fastball and sliders,
when
this
he
guy.
was successful earlier in the year, he was throwing all 3 pitches. He was throwing the curveballs, the swing and miss pitch, and his slider is lights out. Now, the thing that makes all those pitches work is spotting his fastball where it needs to be. Last night, he was throwing 97, 98 miles an hour. So, I believe that's something that, a long season, 6 months these guys play. You're going to go through peaks and valleys. He's going through a little bit of a downtime, and he'll get it together. He's got a great coaching staff to work with him, and he's got the rest of his teammates pitching in. For example, Sunday, the Pirates sat 2 of the hottest players on the team, Jung Ho Gong and Andrew McCutchen. They sat them on the bench to give them a day off because they played 10 innings Friday night, 14 innings Saturday night. They played a day game on Sunday, and they're in the process of playing 21 games in 21 days.
That baseball
So
is
they
heavy.
give their 2 hottest bats the day off, and we still beat the Mets 8-1.
Good job. Good job.
And one thing you got to remember about pitching is some of these guys are putting in more innings than they have in their career. And they can do it. They're in shape. So you have to watch. You do go through those streaks, and we're hoping St. Louis goes through one of those losing streaks. We haven't seen that yet. If they go into a streak like all teams have, 5, 6, or 7 game losing streaks, just imagine where the Buccos could be.
Well, the moves that Neil Huntington made, okay, and he was talking to Jim Frazier, and he said, we're trying to build a championship team.
Yes,
The
sir.
moves he made to bolster the middle of the bullpen have paid huge dividends, because if you look at who the winning pitchers were in the last 5 or 6 Pirate wins, all of them are
They didn't
different
start
people.
with them.
They weren't the starters.
Right.
They were the middle
relievers.
relievers.
We're talking about all these scenarios. We're almost into September, but we're far away from October. So there's so many things that have yet to be
So
decided.
many things that can't
How
happen.
many games are in a season? We didn't play them all. It's amazing.
We've only
The
played 100.
mentality of
There's a lot of
16
games.
games.
We only played 116.
Most sports fans can't handle a baseball season.
know I
Folks,
can't.
you're seeing it here because it's tough. A 3-game losing streak out of 162 still doesn't mean much. a 3-game losing streak or a 2-game losing streak in preseason means something to Steeler fans because there's only 5 of them. I mean, it's bizarre when you talk Pirates and Steelers. The mentality is completely different. I have a problem because I'm a fan of both, but I understand schedules. And you have to watch that. Most people don't. For some reason, it's almost why my psychiatrist friends have those schizophrenia pills for when the Steelers win on Sunday or when they lose. They have pills for both days. They're too happy or they're too sad.
Who's won more playoff games though?
You know what? That's like
my
asking,
mediocre
will the Sun-
rebuilding boys always are in it as long as number 7's under center.
big
So we're just
goals.
waiting
We
for
got
Cole
That also
to stay
helps with a
consistent
league
the whole
that has
season.
parity, that does not have a luxury tax. You have parity in the NFL that Rozelle had that going. All the owners agreed. Why do you think they're not against Goodell? I mean, it's amazing
They
that
put
32
him in.
teams.
They picked him.
Okay, but parity is good. They don't want 1 or 2 teams sticking out like you have in baseball. Baseball, you can buy your way to it and pay a tax. And does it work all the time?
No.
No. When the Pirates broke the bank in the minor leagues, guess what they did? They changed the system. You, of being Steeler fans, understand how the Steelers on steroids
But
changed football, how Mel Blount changed football, and they changed
But
the
the
rules.
trickle-down effect to the Pirates breaking the bank with minor league signings is look at the major league team they have
There's
right
no
now.
question.
Good point.
I'm a fan of that because of the results. Was I a fan of it when they were doing that? No way.
No, because everybody wanted the immediate gratification.
Well-
They didn't want to watch the building be built from the foundation
Well-
up. They just wanted to see the top put on
No,
it.
no,
For 20
here's-
years.
Here's where I disagree.
They built
I
a
didn't want to
hotel.
see AAA players when I'm paying major league prices.
Good point.
And
And
we
that's
saw-
the part. That's the biggest argument I have.
Every time we did a salary dump, that's what we
But that's
we saw.
what happened. So I'm glad that era is done.
But the
I'm
scouting
enjoying
was
the
tough
winning.
too because they were getting a lot of pitchers that were blowing out arms with the number 1 pick.
Yeah.
They had terrible luck there for a stretch.
And what was unique was the pitchers they did have after 2 or 3 years went to other teams were Cy Young Award winners, playoff winners, World Series winners, and they all come out of Pittsburgh. So they knew something. So management at top had to go. That's obvious.
Can I-
What we had here is a difference.
Can I correct something that we were grossly in error on in this show?
I don't know how that could even be found.
Yeah,
Who's the fact
a lot of
checker?
people said that the Pirates locally had a higher rating than the Steelers, and I checked that it wasn't even close. Steelers had a 19.1 local rating that first exhibition game, and the Pirates had a 10-something rating, so it wasn't even close. But that's no fault of the Pirates. It's just Steeler
see,
country here.
you're trying to,
I'm just trying
comparing
to
apples to
correct-
apples.
no, I'm just correcting the wrong.
Because that was on route, and the game was being televised on ESPN nationally. So the numbers are skewed.
That doesn't matter.
I'm just saying.
Why would that matter? He doesn't care about that. Here, let me explain it to you. You're too smart of a guy to listen to this argument. Let me explain what they do.
But I just want to make sure that he understands.
No, he
That I
understands.
see through the cloud of smoke that
No,
he's
no,
blowing.
no. The smoke doesn't even matter.
Both guys were on national TV.
Here's what
Both
they
games were
here's what
national.
they care about. It's a win in their book. That's all they care about when they talk about all this kumbaya. They're not about
But
that.
all we're talking about is
Kumbaya.
how can a practice game
Okay.
outdo a pennant race? But this, like I said, no matter what we say, it's always going to be Steeler country here.
It is.
Steeler
We're Steeler Nation, baby,
Yeah.
because most of my generation have no idea about the greatness that was the Buccos.
Do you
And
remember the
Roberto.
Steelers have only been around since 1933. That was 60 years before that was when the Pirates, they were the Pittsburgh Alleghenies at that time, were playing and winning championships and were the talk of the town. So, before you start tooting, and then the Steelers made the Pittsburghers wait 40 years before they made it to the playoffs. 40 years. Now, you complain about 20 years of futility with the Pirates.
We were just waiting on
You-
Zach.
yeah, well, no.
We were just waiting on Lil Zach.
So what about the 40 years? And,
Hold it. Let me clarify that. Zach was actually too late because if we talk about what he's won, because he considers it a he's won in his generation, he has to take 4 of them off.
What year was he born?
I'm not talking about it. He doesn't reveal ages like you, so I don't want to talk about it. But
I'm an
he was.
80s baby.
Oh, then you missed 4 Super Bowls.
Four
still-
Super Bowls and 3 World Series.
This is it, folks. Thank you
Steelers
for
still did better from that
thank
point
you for watching
till
our
now.
show. This argument will
And 3
continue
World
off
Series.
air. I appreciate all of you with all the likes, all the TV you're watching, and please be safe and stay Joey strong.